Protection doesn't do what you think, Jay reassured me. It taints our relationship, he continued, pulling me closer. And without it, I can express how much I love you. Trust me, he whispered as, one by one, he began removing my clothes. It started when I was 16 years old, first year of my high school. Long story short, I met a guy who we'll call Jay, and eventually developed feelings for him. It was like we were both born to be together. We were in sync with almost everything. Hobbies, family issues, values, all that. Same old story. Before I knew it, I was head over heels for this boy. It didn't help that my relationship with mom and dad was a bit rocky, and it certainly didn't help that I pretty much stopped sharing my life with them. It was just another day. I was hanging out with him as usual, but felt tired and a headache coming on. My family had a small party on that day, so I lied to them. Told them I had an extra class at school. I needed to lay down, maybe take a nap, but I couldn't go home. So Jay invited me to his place. When we finally got there, I noticed we were home alone. I remember thinking this was great, since it allowed me to sleep in peace. He led me to his bed and motioned for me to lay down. And then I made the mistake of closing my eyes. I felt his lips. He was kissing me. At first, I thought it was a loving peck, a sweet gesture since I wasn't feeling well. So I kept sleeping. Then I felt something else. One by one, he removed my clothes. I remember panicking, thinking, this wasn't Jay. There must have been someone else in his house. But with every piece of clothing, he reassured me it was him. Reassured me that everything was going to be all right. I wish I knew then that wasn't true, because even in my dazed state, the next part is burned sharp into my memory. Ever since that day, he convinced me this was the only way for him to show my love to him and my commitment to us. It seems ridiculous now, but I was only 16. And he was my whole world. So he kept it up. He used me, wounded me, forced me to do it almost every day without protection. He said it was more pure this way, and that he knew how to keep it safe between us. Despite what I thought I knew about protection and about pregnancy, I was blinded and let him do what he wanted with my body 100, 1,000 times over. I was falling to the deepest pits of hell and I couldn't escape. He told me if I refused, if I left him, if I told anyone, he'd expose my secret. He held me hostage with lies, and me, a young and naive girl, believed him. I trusted him ever since he walked into my life, and I trusted him now as he was about to graduate and move to a new country. And Stockholm Syndrome's a funny thing, because even though he'd done nothing but hurt me, he was the only thing I knew. There was no winning. I hated the thought of him gone, but I also hated the way he'd use me, manipulate me, and scare me to the point of nausea. I thought after he left, maybe I'd cope, feel better. But it didn't. I'd wake up and feel like I needed to vomit. At first, I thought it was because I ate something wrong or because I had skipped more than a couple of meals. But as I woke up with morning sickness more frequently, I realized that there was only one reason. I was pregnant. 5 months pregnant with the only person I'd ever been with. It broke my heart and everything I thought I knew crumbled around me. I told Jay. I had to. And he said he was going to send me money to support the child, but that didn't work out because of complications. So, for the first time in a while, I did the only right thing to do in that moment and confessed to my mom. She could have let me figure it out on my own. She could have turned me away after all those times I turned her away. But she didn't. Yes, she was mad that I'd been so reckless and naive, but she was more furious at him for hurting her daughter. My mom wanted to file a lawsuit against Jay, but he wasn't here. And with the little money we had, against the laws where we lived, Jay was simply out of reach. So instead, my mom and I decided on an abortion. At the time, along with my mom, I had a family friend who helped me through it all. When my mom wasn't around, he'd be there to comfort me, give me a shoulder to cry on, and take care of me. We were friends, and only ever friends. But to Jay, this was cheating. Very publicly, he posted a status one day about how I had been unfaithful, cheated on him, and used him for his money. And that was enough. As soon as I was released from the hospital, I broke up with him, and I had never felt so free. The scars he left are still there, but I was his prisoner no longer. It's been 2 years, but I still think about what happened. Every day, I can't forget it, no matter how much I want to. Every now and then, I receive a message from people who believe his self-pitying status updates that mark me as the one who lied to him, mistreated him, and took advantage of him. I'm trying my best to live my life now and make up for all those years that he stole from me. I hope my story is a lesson to prevent the same thing from happening ever again. If you have something worth saying, there will always be someone ready to listen.